Shalom. I decided to do an art video update because I'm working on art and it's potentially dangerous, and so I figured if I'm going to injure myself, I might as well capture it on video for America's Home Videos, and also because I think it will make my roommates that much more upset to know that I did this in the apartment. Not that I'm not taking necessary precautions. For instance, I have a giant jug of water in case I light myself or anything else on fire. So I'm working with fire, as you probably understood. I'm actually singeing this canvas. It's going to turn into a star, as you probably guessed. So I've occasionally taken pictures while I'm doing art, but I thought it would be fun to do a video for when I'm rich and famous and all my artwork is worth millions of dollars and I want to make a documentary about my life, or so I can share with my friends and family one of the many things that I'm doing in Israel. So while I'm working on this, I have to take occasional breaks so the fumes don't overpower me, and so the canvas doesn't get too hot, and so I'll kind of keep talking, and maybe I'll talk while I'm working and not pay very close attention and kind of mess it up. But as I'll get to, I'm not particularly concerned about all of these pieces turning out perfect, since I have no formal or informal artistic education or training or skills. Most of what I'm doing is as much about kind of learning and exploring and experimenting than it is making really wonderful finished products. And, you know, if people like them, or if people will buy them, or if people will display them, that's all well and good. I mean, it's more than well and good, it's great. And I just put up something I need in Pardes, where I'm studying right now, and another piece I made is up in the Hillel building. Hopefully it's still up in the Hillel building in St. Louis. I put it up right as I was leaving and then left town. And they said they liked it. I don't know if they kept it up or not, whatever. I'm torn between wanting to distribute art throughout the world and wanting to kind of hold on to all of it. Obviously, I should hold on to some of it, I think, because it would suck to spend 2 or 3 years making art and then not have any of it. And on the other hand, it's nice to put up with it. So I'm going to do a little art, and I'm going to do that. I don't know if you can see it, it's kind of like smoky on the top. Probably can't see it because it's really low resolution video. But it starts to smoke, and I have no idea if it's like right on the edge of catching on fire. Hopefully not. Although a little burning in for the time, symbolism and the imagery of them. Not that I tend to discuss in very much detail the meaning behind a lot of the art that I do, for a couple reasons. One, I'm not sure I would have very sophisticated things to say. Two, my sense is that if I were to give some sort of definitive explanation of what the motivation or symbolism is kind of a I tried to write an essay in like 10th grade, 9th grade. We just like do whatever you wanted on the Lord of the Flies, and like I wanted to write on like the symbolism of the Lord of the Flies. And the teacher was like, symbolism is like basically, you know, the shallowest thing to talk about. Like, oh, there's Christ imagery, and like, oh, there's, the only thing I can remember is the Christ imagery. Whatever the Christ-like figure's name, like he would like go pick fruit off the trees, of like the high trees, to like give to the younger children. So it was like, I didn't actually get this. The teacher explained it to me, like it was very Christ-like. Anyway, she's like, do something more sophisticated than talk about symbolism. But so, you know, the deeper meaning or the explanation behind my art, if I were to explain what motivates me, I I think that that would probably limit other people's efforts in coming up with their own explanations or their own meanings. And it's very gratifying when people see art that I've done and they give an explanation that, it's very gratifying either when they give an explanation that was what I intended, which does sometimes happen, which is a good sign that I'm able to, at the very least, communicate my intentions through art. But it's probably even more gratifying when they come up with an explanation that has some resonance or meaning to themselves. So sometimes I have kind of very specific and very intentioned efforts behind what I'm doing, and sometimes I'm just kind of making art because it's pretty, and even things that I think are pretty, people find meaning behind. And sometimes I'm just kind of experimenting, like I'm trying out new materials and new techniques, and it's in a way that people are able to read meaning into it. And all of those are good things to happen, and people are able to kind of figure it out on their own. So at the moment, I've been doing all of these Star of Davids, the Star of David series, because one, it's a very potent symbol within Judaism, and is probably the clearest symbol recognizable of secular cultural Judaism, to the extent that, I think more than kind of other symbols of Judaism are. Whoa, time flies when you're making art. So I was doing a menorah series at home, which again is kind of like Americanized, secularized Judaism. And, as someone who grew up with Hanukkah, it certainly speaks to me. And so like one of the menorahs I made had Christmas lights on it. I painted it green. It has like leaf imagery, tree imagery. I think, it was like made out of metal, but it had like little leaves on it. So I spray painted it green, and I put Christmas lights on it because, for a lot of, cultural Jews, you get to celebrate Christmas and Hanukkah. And so that was one series I was working on, and I finished 2 or 3 of those, and then I had another 2 or 3 that I was working on. I had to leave all the supplies in America. And then I've been doing the Star of David series, and this is the 3rd or 4th one in the series that I'm working on. And I'm probably going to start an Israel series. And some of what I'm doing is, kind of, I guess I would say like critical of Judaism, or critical of some aspects of Judaism, or critical of some ways that Judaism is being practiced. And so, one, it will be interesting to see if Pardes lets me put those up there, and 2, I think a lot of those are ambiguous enough that kind of people can read them in their own way, and so it's interesting if I would intend something as a criticism or a critique of some aspect of Judaism, and people who are of that kind of Judaism would read it as something kind of supportive or in solidarity with them or in agreement with them. I'm sure that's bound to happen. Aside from whatever I'm doing with pork, and there will probably be pork artwork, most of it is probably going to be pretty ambiguous. And so again, that's something where, and I have kind of the same, I have like the reverse reaction, and this is probably more common, like from what I understand in poetry, it happens a lot with poets, where you kind of intend a rather specific meaning, and people will interpret and think you mean the opposite. And that's actually something that happens to us a lot in class, when we like miss a single word in something we're translating, and so we think it means the opposite of what it really means. So I'll be curious kind of what it feels like to see people interpret my artwork to mean the exact opposite of what I intended. And, I thought I had to go until 10 minutes and then stop because YouTube limits you to 10 minutes, but then I realized that I can upload on Google Video, and Google Video lets you have an unlimited time. And although we don't have internet, it means hanging out at school for like an hour and a half to upload these videos, but that's fine. So there's no reason to hurriedly finish and cut this off. So we'll see if I have anything else to say. So, like I said, a lot of what I'm doing at the moment is, learning. Because I've never really taken an art class, and so, I was telling someone that I'd done something, I bought some canvas and painted something. He's like, "Oh, how did you prime your canvas?" I'm like, "How did I what?" So, I guess kind of the advantage I have, and I'll make a poker analogy here, is that to the extent that I'm trying to be creative and innovative in my art, it's possible every piece of artwork I've done, someone else has done the exact same thing already. Someone else has made a menorah with Christmas lights, and someone else has made a menorah wrapped in barbed wire, and someone else has made a Star of David out of broken mirror pieces. It's possible that for the foreseeable future, someone will have done all of the pieces of art that I've done already. And it's not like I know or have seen any of these, and any of the people that are looking at my art probably haven't seen any of these. But the idea is that theoretically I would, eventually kind of do something creative or innovative. And I was doing some work with bone in St. Louis that, because I was especially doing kind of the piece in response and satire of a very famous but very recent piece of art, theoretically was something that no one had done before. Although even that's probably wishing a little too much. Anyway, to the extent that I am untrained and uneducated, I think it's more likely that I would be able to do something creative because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And so you run into this when people have newly learned how to play poker, and a lot of poker, to the extent you're trying to read your opponents, is based on what they did, what does it mean? High bet, low bet, bluff, call, check raise, and those are the sorts of things that they're supposed to be doing based on strategy. And so if they don't know any strategy, it's impossible for them to follow the strategy. So, they don't know odds, and they don't know, anything else about poker, and so it's very easy, it makes it very hard for you to read them and play them like you would in a traditional poker game. And so, these kind of this beginner advantage sometimes where, you're kind of using a poker heuristic that does not actually apply to them. So, I'm spinning this and thinking that my complete lack of skill and education and training, and I shouldn't say study, I've actually studied art history, although this was in 10th or 11th grade, this was in high school, I took the AP art history test. So I read a history of art history. So I have I know about Renaissance painting and neoclassical architecture, and I actually don't think that the art history class gets to modern art, and I think basically almost everything that I'm doing is modern and postmodern. I don't really know the difference. Maybe I don't think it's postmodern. So yes, hopefully it's to my benefit, because I don't think I could do better or more interesting stuff that other people are trained to do and studied. So at least I can make stuff up and do stuff wrong and do stuff not the way I'm supposed to, and hopefully that will be to my advantage in making art. Okay, I think I've rambled on long enough, so I'm going to try and finish this piece, and then I will put a picture up when I'm done. Alright, peace.